Imagine a spiritual path that honors the universal truths in all religions, that sees we are all one. Imagine a movement that respects each person's right to choose their spiritual path. Imagine a spiritual movement that empowers and unites rather than divides. This is Unity. For more than a century, Unity has offered a positive, practical, and progressive approach to understanding and applying the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. Unity is non-dogmatic and inclusive. Are you a Christian with questions, or just spiritually seeking? Are you curious to explore the universal truths that Jesus embodied and taught, concepts that extend beyond traditional Christian theology? Learn how Unity bridges Eastern and Western philosophy and how it can change your life. Experience God consciousness. Raise your awareness. Live more abundantly. We invite you to explore our network of churches and study centers and our world headquarters at Unity Village. Call or email anytime for prayer support.
This is an open letter to Black America from Unity Ministers. We love you, and we embrace our responsibility to eradicate racism. It is our divine appointment to stand with you.
To see you.
To hear you.
To listen.
To be in conversation with you.
To be with your anger without judgment.
To know your sacred worth.
To acknowledge my privilege.
To take responsibility.
To confront complacency.
To back my words with action. Palabras con acción.
To be accountable for effecting change in my community.
To support Black-owned businesses.
To be a bender of the arc of the moral universe that bends toward justice.
To demand the end of police brutality.
To use my voice and my vote to end systemic racism.
To hold you and our country in prayer.
To be a call to action.
To be a voice for justice.
To be a voice for unity.
The other day I was speaking to someone and they shared with me that especially as a child, they had just felt worthless. They felt different. They felt like they were a dud. It hurt me to hear this person say that. And yet what I've come to know over the years is that that's how many of us have felt at times. And so my message to you today as we prepare to go into prayer is that you are precious, just as you are. If it's comfortable for you now, I invite you to close your eyes, to take a deep breath in and release. And together we will enter that sacred space of union and communion with Spirit. God is a love that has no end. And in this moment, I invite you to establish the intention of deeply remembering that love of God in you. Of deeply remembering that you are created in the image and likeness of Spirit. The very creator of this universe has placed its love in you and as you. Breathe in deeply and allow everything else to drift away as you exhale. Everything else but the knowing that you, just as you are created in the image and likeness of Spirit, of God, of the Beloved. Love is the greatest power in the universe. And you are holy and sacred just because that love lives in you, just because of who you are. You are precious. And you are important. The world would not be the same without you, just as you are. I invite you to bring into this time of prayer others whom you love, whom you pray for, who you feel need to hear this same message, and just inwardly see them with your heart's eye. And inwardly message to them that they are loved, that they are holy and precious just as they are. And I invite you now to hold our world, our planet in your heart. With all the love that you are, I invite you to wrap our world in love. See that love moving as a healing balm across the planet, through the hearts of our brothers and sisters around the globe. Blessing, healing, affirming goodness for all. You are created in the image and likeness of the very creator of this universe. And you are precious, and you are important, and you matter. And as we bring our time of prayer to a close, you may open your eyes when you feel ready. And I invite you to carry with you the sweet knowing from this time together. An inner affirmation for you. I am precious and I matter. And I affirm that for you. You are precious and you matter.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are. This is Reverend R. Ken Turner. You are here with us at Unity of Chicago South, a Beyond Walls spiritual community. Welcome to the third Sunday in Lent. This is the Sunday that I promised to talk about the various aspects of this particular holy season, and I plan to deliver on my promise. It wasn't really a promise, but I plan to deliver on it. A few notes to clean up, housekeeping notes, as they say. You may have noticed that we are making it easy for contributions to be supported, to support us, to be done with e-donations. The buttons are right under the screen. Choose your method. And we have been discussing and sharing with you that we would have the past services up on social media. We've done the work to get that done, so the edited version of our Sunday, like this Sunday celebration, will now be up on social media by Monday, the Monday following. So tomorrow evening, this edited version will be up, minus the music and some other things that are copyrighted. The past services have all been edited. I think it's 3 of those, and they'll start being posted up on social media this week. So we'll have a full week of posting past celebrations from Unity of Chicago South, especially during this Lenten period. And there may be one a little bit earlier. I'm not sure. I don't remember, to be exact. The other thing I want to share with you is the fact that there is an infinite source available to everyone. It's there for each who seek it, no matter their race, their gender, or their religion. You can believe what you may, but know that the source of the universe is also the source of each of us. Therefore, the principle supporting the stars is the principle supporting and available to each of us. And as I declare this statement in the first person, I am declaring it for all. I am open and receptive to this divine living principle. Father, Mother, God, I am grateful. This is my declaration. This is my truth. And as I accept it, so it becomes. And all is well, and well indeed. Very short poem today, but so very impactful. Don't give up now. Chances are your best kisses, your heartiest laugh, and your greatest days are still yet to come. Atticus. Wow. Don't give up. Don't we feel like it sometimes? But this is a period of time, this holy period. It is a time that we are to work on reflecting and strengthening our resolve, and connecting and reconnecting and evaluating ourselves and seeing where we stand. Now, the thing about this particular period, it's kind of meshed up together. You say, well, what do you mean by that? I mean, we have the Lenten period, the 40 days, and then we have the crucifixion, then we have the resurrection, we have the entering into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. It's just so many things going on, and it would seem like that all of these things are together, that they all happened kind of together. And then, in addition to that, we have the other 2 major, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. The other 2 have similar periods. When I say similar, they have periods that there's some self-reflection going on, there's some self-denial going on, there's some remembering the past going on, there's some gratitude about how far they came and from where they came. All of this is going on, not just with one religion, but all three of them in different time frames. Now, the two that are closest, of course, are Easter and Passover, and that would make sense. That would make sense because Palm Sunday, you have Jesus riding into Jerusalem, coming from the Mount of Olives, riding into Jerusalem for what? Passover. For Passover. And during that particular Passover week, we have the beginning of what Christians designate as Holy Week. You have Palm Sunday moving on into the crucifixion and the resurrection. So you can see they're kind of meshed in, work together in a sense that they are in the same time frame. Now, the thing about this time frame, well, first of all, let's talk about birthdays. You said, well, where do we go? Birthdays. You know, you have a birthday. Most people have a birth date. And that date may fall on a different day, you know, than the actual day that you were born. But it's the same date. It doesn't change. The date doesn't change. The day does, but the date doesn't. And that's rather significant that this is the day that I came onto this plane. This is the day that I arrived here. This is the day of celebrating my birth. This is the date of celebrating my birth. And sometimes, occasionally, that date and day fall together. Not all the time, but sometimes, occasionally. So we have the date being important, and when we think about dates, and we think in the Christian religion, when we think about dates, we have Christmas. That's a date, the 25th of December. It's always the 25th of December. It doesn't change. That's the date that we recognize, that we give credence to the birth. It's not the actual day it happened, but that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant for our purpose today. So what we have is we have date and day. Date and day. Then we have time frame. Now, when it comes to this Holy Week for Christians, and even Passover, and somewhat in Ramadan, somewhat, it's a different calculation. But when it comes to those two, the date is irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. The day has a little more relevancy. The day. What do you have in there? You have the beginning of Passover and you have the end of Passover. Those are definite days. Then you have Palm Sunday. You have Good Friday. And then you have Easter. Those are days. The dates move around. Now, why is that the dates move around? This is, it wasn't that this crucifixion happened on many dates. It happened on one particular date, just like the birth happened on one particular date, right? As we recognize it. So what's up with that? The fact is it has nothing to do with the events themselves. It has to do with astronomy and astrology. Astronomy meaning looking and studying the heavens and how the planets move and the stars and so forth, and astrology saying how does that movement affect us on Earth. So it's a combination of the two that give us these particular time frames. And one of the markers is the spring equinox. The spring equinox. That is affecting the Easter season and even the Passover season. Wow. So we understand that it moves around based on what? the season. It moves around based on the position of the moon. It moves around, those dates move around based on those things. Now, when you think about that and think about what's being commemorated, you can see that even though it's very important in the practice, both practices, it's very, very important, it's something different about it than born on the 25th. Something different about it. Well, why is that? And we want to now get back to our Easter and leave Passover over here to the side for a moment. Well, what's different about the two is that one brought into it much of the practices from another practice. From a pagan practice, as a matter of fact. You say, well, why is this stuff really important? And I trust me, we're gonna get to the importance of it and how it affects us and what the end game, and that's what today's talk really is the end game. What is it all about? Well, when it incorporated these pagan practices, you brought in things like the bunny and the reproductive nature of the rabbit, very prolific. You brought in the eggs to represent fertility, very important. But they were important because they were related or relating to the season of spring. Okay? So what Christians did were kind of confiscated some of the ideas and rituals and brought them into their own practice. It's not bad or good. It's just an understanding, you see. It's just an understanding. And you say, well, why is that understanding so important to me? Well, I want to make it important to you for this reason. Just as they were able to take what they wanted and create a dynamic, you should not be in a box being told that if it's not this way, then it's wrong, you see. Because it was created. It was created. What are some of the things that weren't a part of it that came later on through the commercialization? Easter bonnets, Easter baskets, Easter outfits. So now we have the confiscation of a practice from a different group, a group that actually was, kind of criticized and by the Christians. And then we have the commercial aspect brought in, and then it's all about this whole Easter holy period. Oh, I mentioned the 40 days, the Lenten season. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. I want to take a moment now. If you are not really up on it, it seems like the 40 days and the Palm Sunday and the Easter, all of it is one. It's not. The 40 days represents the 40 days Jesus spent in the wilderness at the beginning of his ministry. Wow. We're talking about the end game now. See, all of these other things are superficial, made up, created somewhat out of whole cloth, meshed together for whatever reason. I'm not here to talk about the reason. I'm here to deal with something else, something I think is very much more important. Very much more important. So what's the end game with all of this? You see, you can get kind of hung up. You can get kind of swept up into the celebration and the commercialization and what we said should be happening. We should eat eggs, and we're not going to give it to the people that it came from, the pagans, or we're not going to say related to spring per se. We're going to say it's part of our practice, our religion. This is something that's important, even though it changes from year to year, but not the birth. And there's so much more involved in it. The type of year, the civil year, and oh my God, the religious year. There's so much more involved in it. But again, those are not the issues. It's the end game. It's the end game. So celebrate this period however you like. Enjoy it to the fullest. Buy your new outfit. Get your Easter bonnet. Exchange Easter baskets. All of it's wonderful. Give up something during the 40 days of Lent. It's more than 40, but that's not the point. You see how this made-up thing is kind of evolving? But what's the point? At the end, what is the end game? Is it to look sharp on Easter Sunday? Is it to go and hear the 7 last words on Good Friday? Is it to go get a dot on your head Palm Sunday? Oh, that's at the beginning of, that's Ash Wednesday, excuse me. But to wave your palms on Palm Sunday? What is the end game? Because all of these rituals, whether created by the fathers of Christianity or by a commercialization of this period of time, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. What we want to get to is, they say sometimes in Christmas, the reason for the season. We want to get to the end game. What is this all about? And what should it be all about for us? What is the opportunity for us? What's the opportunity? I'm going to give you a little more history. Got to go with a little bit more, and then we're going to wrap it up to look at what it all means. Now understand that this whole process that is called Easter and a Christian practice could not have been and would not have been the practice of Jesus. Could not have been and would not have been the practice of Jesus. We're not talking about a Christian in Jesus. We're not talking about a Christian. We're talking about a Jewish teacher, a rabbi, not a Christian. So you can even, as you look at it there, you can see it even more being kind of created after him. But they said it was for him, but it was after him. It was something he never knew about. Wow. So with that being said, and having a little history on the process of taking some from here and taking some from there to create this Holy Week, this Easter period, to even taking something from Passover, because again, Palm Sunday is very important. That Sunday is very important as the beginning of Passover at the time that Jesus entered Jerusalem. Okay? Minister, where are you taking us? You're going to take our Easter? No, sir. Enjoy. Did you hear what I said? Get your new bonnet. Exchange Easter baskets. Get your new outfit. The whole bit. Don't let truth stop your joy. But instead, I hope that this truth will enhance your joy. That it will enhance your joy. See, that's what it's all about. We're talking about we're supposed to help you do better so you could be better. The whole idea is to do better so you can be better. That's what Unity of Chicago South, that's our slogan. Do better so you can be better. And what we share with you each week is our effort to help you do better, you see. Know better is one thing, but help you to do better, to do better. Wow. So now we have this period that Christians borrowed a lot of the elements from the pagans, and then they incorporated it. Then they meshed together Lent, the 40 days, and Easter, the end of the ministry, the beginning of the ministry, put that together, threw in a little Passover there with the Palm Sunday bit. And it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. But it's even cooler, it's even better when you get to the end game. You see, I mentioned that all three major religions have some period that's similar in nature, the self-reflection, the giving up, the focus off of self. But Jesus didn't teach this Holy Week stuff, the Easter stuff. Jesus taught the end game. That was Jesus' ministry, the end game. Now, you have various sects within the Christian religion. I once heard a minister say that without the resurrection and ascension, Christianity would be no different than any other religion. Think about that. They had to have this to make them different. They had to have this to stand above. Now, there's a whole history behind that. We're not spending the time on that today, but just to understand that. Without that, we'd be like any other religion. We wouldn't be different. Did Jesus teach crucifixion and ascension? Did he teach that before he entered Jerusalem in the third year of his ministry on what we call Palm Sunday? You say the third year. Yeah, well, you have to assume, since he was a practicing Jew, that he did this the first two Passover periods in his ministry. So we're just talking about the third Passover period, the third Passover period. Yeah. Now, when we talk about the third Passover period, what we're saying is he's at the end of the ministry. He talked about leaving, being crucified, being turned against, being turned on, being betrayed. He's done all of this. But what happened all before that? There are some sects, some factions in the Christian religion that spend their time focused on that week, that crucifixion, and that ascension. That's it. What do people in New Thought do? Because that's really the question. What do we do in New Thought? What our focus should be, what our focus is supposed to be, is everything that he did prior to that week. You see, because that was his ministry. And if we could just break that down into maybe three simple things that were taught prior to that ministry that will allow us to really reflect on this holy period in a much deeper consciousness and deal with the end game that Jesus was teaching. One, through that whole period prior to this crucifixion, prior to going in Jerusalem, prior to Jesus was teaching, if you read your scripture, he was teaching how to know our Creator better. How to know God better. How to know God better in a different way than the scripture that he knew had taught him. In a higher consciousness way. To see the Creator as one with you, in you. This is all before the crucifixion we're talking about. And you choose what you want to follow. Do you want to follow post or pre, you see? Because post is hard to follow. Crucifixion and ascension. Pre, we have steps to follow that we can find in Scripture that he taught, that he was working on teaching. Next, so how do you know your Creator? How do you know the Father better? How how to improve our relationship with that Creator that He called Father. How to improve in other words, He said, I'm giving you a different view of God. God is not out there, God is in here. This is all pre-crucifixion, pre-ascension, pre. Then the third thing he said, how to do the work, to put the Father, to put God first in our lives. 3 things. How to know God better, how to have a better relationship with God, and how to put God first in our lives. Look at your scripture. That Sunday he entered into Jerusalem. And you'll find scripture there to support all 3 aspects of the teachings of the living, breathing Jesus. Wow. So you see, the purpose of today's sharing, today's talk, is the fact that, yes, you definitely can do all the joyful things and have all the fun that Easter brings. It's a springtime event. It's a change of season. It's a renewal. I mean, it was going on before this Easter was created, so you have a right to celebrate this. But you have an opportunity to look at what did Jesus teach prior to this period? And how can I read these scriptures in a new light? Like he's teaching me, like he's talking to my soul. Yes. Not in the afterlife, but in the living life. How can we look at scripture with the idea of my purpose is in these words? My purpose is in these words. To understand our Creator, to have a better relationship with our Creator, and to make the Creator, to allow the Creator to be first in our lives. Our purpose. Charles Fillmore puts it a different way, the co-founder of Unity. He says that our purpose is to develop our spirituality and to benefit mankind, humanity. Do you see the 3? How to know the Father better, how to have a better relationship, and how to put the Creator first in our lives. That's that increasing our spirituality, lifting our spirituality. And in doing so, we do become a benefit to humanity. Ernest Holmes says the purpose for mental healing is that we have to convince ourselves that we're whole and complete. We have to convince ourselves in our own minds that we're whole and complete. Our purpose is to lift consciousness, to understand our oneness with the Father. Jesus is teaching. This is not my teaching. This is Jesus' teaching. And sometimes we just get so hung up on the celebration of the eggs and the basket and the clothes that we forget all that was taught prior to that point. All the good stuff that we can do, you see. We may never resurrect. We may never ascend, but we can live the life that he taught us all the way to that period. So as you're going through your Lenten period, remember that that was the first part of his ministry that's being commemorized. The first part. So what are you doing? What am I doing during this 40-day period to create a new personal ministry for ourselves? Whatever we might be giving up, how is that going to impact a regenerated me, a regenerated you. Because that was the regeneration needed for Jesus to go forth in his ministry. Those 40 days that he spent, those 40 days were lifting consciousness. Those 40 days were letting go of a lot of stuff that he brought with him into the ministry, as we all do bring with us into the next step in our lives, the next phase in our lives. So whatever you've decided to look at during this 40-day period, this Lenten period, look at it again and see how it's going to regenerate you at the end of the period into your own personal ministry of lifting yourself, lifting your spirituality, lifting your consciousness, and being a benefit to humanity. What is it doing to lift your consciousness, lift your mind into the oneness that Ernest Holmes talked about, that you're okay, that you're whole and complete in the Father already. Because that's the purpose. That may not be the joy, but that's the purpose. It's not something that is all unto Christians. You can see that it was taken from here, taken from there, but it's okay. And I say that to you to say that you can now take this Lenten period and focus it and direct it and drive it the way that you want. It's a history of Easter being created. So you can take this period to do what you want. And remember that this was the period that Jesus did what was necessary to go into a new existence. He is now walking a ministry. Been baptized, had that whole thing happen. Now he's walking a ministry. What's your ministry going to be after Lent is over with? What's your ministry going to be? Are you going to take cues from Holmes or Fillmore? What's your ministry going to be? It's up to you. You see what I'm saying? It's up to you. Just like Easter was created, you can create your own ministry for you. Just focus on the fact that it's doable right now. Whatever you're doing, I can create my own ministry. It's not too late. What am I going to be after this? On Easter Monday, the day after Easter, what am I going to be that day? How will I rise? And ascend into a new consciousness. Well, we have the rituals. We understand where they came from. We see the mishmash of various religious practices, pagan practices coming together. We see that the first and the last were put together in a way that made it seem like it all runs together. But symbolically, that means that you have a period to go through before you can let go of whatever it is you want to let go of, that crucifixion of whatever you want to let go of. That's your 40-day period. And we no longer have to feel nobody. No matter what your minister, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that, right? No matter what your minister might say, feel good about this time. If you want the clothes, get the clothes. If you want the basket, get the basket. But understand that when you focus on Jesus, that is so unimportant. It's joyful, it's a lot of fun, but it's unimportant. The important part is that you come out with an idea of your new ministry for yourself. Well, we got here. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope that something was shared with you that you can use going forward the rest of this holy period. Embrace it for the joy that it brings and understand it for the change that it allows you. Read the scripture in a new way, understanding that these were the teachings of Jesus, not the end, but the life he lived. The life as it's recorded in scripture. You have been here with us at Unity of Chicago South, a Beyond Walls online. I thank you so much. I'm Reverend R. Ken Turner. Thank you so much for being here. And until the next time, know that You are already whole and complete, waiting to blossom, and this is your time. Namaste.